It began with a scream that no one heard, except the mountain. On April 9th, during a rare nighttime expedition to Machu Picchu, tech magnate Sebastian Kael vanished without a trace. Surveillance footage, corrupted. Emergency GPS signal, never activated. His security team emerged at dawn, trembling, mumbling about a staircase that wasn't there yesterday. Kael had rented exclusive access to the site, paying an undisclosed sum to the Peruvian government. His obsession with forgotten civilizations was infamous, and his company had recently filed patents on neural mapping technology inspired by Incan cosmology. Some said he wanted to digitize lost worlds, others believed he wanted to enter them. What investigators found the next day defied all logic. A granite staircase embedded in the slope just east of the Temple of the Sun, an area previously surveyed 100 times. No records showed it, no guides remembered it. And yet, there it was. Cold, ancient, perfectly intact, as if it had always waited. Camila Huaranca, a veteran guide with ancestral roots in the region, was the first to say it out loud. "That staircase is new." Her voice cracked on the final word. She claimed her grandmother once spoke of a hidden descent, guarded by silence and shadow. "When it reappears," the saying went, "the mountain wants something back." Tourists were evacuated within hours. Local authorities blamed erosion. Privately, they were terrified. One drone from Kael's team had captured blurry night footage. It showed the staircase forming, stone by stone, in reverse, as if unbuilding itself into existence. The final frame shows a dark figure standing at its base, motionless. Kael's personal assistant, now under psychiatric care, described sounds that came from below the stone, including whispers in a tongue no one could identify. "It wasn't human," she muttered over and over. "It was asking him to follow." Her fingernails were torn off as if clawing at stone. Enter Dr. Jonas Vale, a renowned archaeocryptologist with ties to clandestine investigations in Turkey and Siberia. Hired by Kael's family, Jonas was skeptical until he reviewed Kael's last private video log. In it, Kael stares into the camera, eyes dilated, and says, "I finally heard it. The steps don't lead down, they lead in." Jonas loads the video onto a secure terminal. As he enhances the audio, something strange occurs. The screen flickers, revealing one frame not present in the original file. A stone shifts, the shadow moves, and for a fraction of a second, a pale face looks directly into the lens. Jonas traced the staircase's formation patterns and found something chilling. Its architecture didn't match traditional Incan design. Instead, the steps curved slightly inward, almost organic, like ribs in stone. Cross-referencing ancient schematics, he stumbled upon a name erased from most records: Illapa Tupac, an Incan architect exiled for heresy and said to have descended into silence. The name appeared in only one scroll, buried deep in the archives of the Universidad Nacional de San Antonio Abad. It spoke of a mouth in the mountain, built to undo time. Illapa's project was abandoned after he vanished, along with every worker assigned to it. No bodies, no graves, just silence and weathered stone. Camila, hesitant but intrigued, admitted her grandmother's tales included a verse about a door that opens backward and a path that climbs in reverse. She remembered it now, word for word, and when she recited it aloud, Jonas noticed an odd resonance. His audio equipment recorded frequencies outside human hearing. The drone footage was enhanced again. This time, Jonas isolated the figure standing at the staircase's base. It had no discernible face, but its body shimmered with impossible geometry, angles that shouldn't exist. More disturbing was the timestamp. It was marked 12 hours before the team even arrived at Machu Picchu. Within days, theorists and fringe researchers swarmed Cusco. Reddit threads speculated Kael had activated an ancient failsafe. A YouTube psychic claimed Machu Picchu was a memory vault, and the staircase was its unlocking mechanism. Tourism surged. So did disappearances. 3 hikers went missing along unmarked paths, last seen taking photos near the staircase. Camila noticed something else. The llamas near the site wouldn't graze. They froze, eyes locked toward the staircase, low guttural noises pulsing from their throats. One collapsed and died, its muscles rigid, its legs forming a spiral pattern in the dirt. A ranger's dog refused to go near the area ever again. Desperate for clarity, Jonas dove into Kael's social media archives. Hidden inside a virtual tour Kael had posted months before was a brief flicker. One frame of a different map, impossible to access through the video's normal playback. A 24-digit code was embedded in the frame, spelling coordinates to a cave outside Aguas Calientes. Inside that cave, buried in dust and ritual debris, Jonas and Camila found something grotesque. A ceremonial skull, mouth forced open by rusted metal pins. Inside it was a folded parchment, a crude map showing the mountains curled in a spiral. At its center, a symbol identical to the new staircase's design. The spiral map, now faintly glowing, outlined a path that didn't exist on any satellite image. It twisted impossibly through the Andes, doubling over itself in ways that defied elevation and scale. Camila compared it to an Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail. Jonas called it topography as hallucination. Still, they followed it. Their hike began under daylight, but quickly descended into eerie twilight, even though the sun was high. GPS stopped working. Their compass needles spun. Every step seemed to echo too long. Then, carved into a slope of obsidian black stone, they found a second staircase, this one partially buried, its steps whispering with windless sound. The moment Jonas placed his foot on the first step, everything stilled. Even insects went silent. A vibration passed up his spine like a tuning fork. Camila felt it too, except hers made her left hand go numb. They exchanged no words. Something deeper than speech now bound them to the mountain. As they descended, the air grew heavier. Jonas's recorder began playing in reverse, distorting Camila's voice into something choral and cavernous. The temperature dropped, but sweat beaded at their temples. They passed petroglyphs etched into the stone, eyes, hands, spirals, all aligned with stars long extinguished. Time unraveled. Their watches stopped. Jonas counted footsteps, but the number reset on its own. Camila's hair floated, though there was no wind. The staircase bent, curled, and finally split into 2 paths. The left faded into mist. The right ended at a stone archway marked with the symbol of Ilapa Tupac. Camila reached out and touched the arch. Her pupils dilated instantly, and she whispered, "He's alive." When Jonas asked who, she couldn't answer. Her voice cracked like a broken recording. From within the arch came the sound of chains dragging, and then silence followed by a single heartbeat, but it wasn't theirs. They stepped through. The light behind them died instantly. The stone underfoot changed, no longer carved but grown. Jonas scraped a sample, organic calcium with traces of copper and silica, not stone, not bone, something in between. Their lanterns dimmed, flickering as if gasping for air. Behind them, the arch closed. No mechanism, no noise, just sudden, absolute stone. They were sealed in. Ahead, another staircase spiraled upward, but its geometry was wrong. It looped where it should twist, flattened where it should rise. Camila took one step and staggered. "We're not going up," she said. "We're going inward." The staircase narrowed until it opened into a chamber that pulsed like a living lung. Sculptures of hooded figures lined the walls, each with a hand extended toward the center. At the room's heart sat a black altar, smooth and glass-like, throbbing with a rhythm that matched neither heart nor machine. Something older. Jonas scanned the symbols etched into the altar's base. They weren't Incan. In fact, They weren't from any known script, just clusters of spirals and eye shapes arranged in fractal patterns. But some of them matched diagrams Kael had scribbled in his notebooks, diagrams that were once dismissed as artistic nonsense. Camila stepped closer. The altar responded, not with light but with sound, a low, resonant chord that made their bones ache. "It's listening," she said. Her voice was monotone, detached, as if not her own. Jonas touched her shoulder, but her skin was ice cold. She didn't blink. In the dust behind one of the hooded statues, Jonas found a leather-bound book, soaked in a black, oily residue. The pages stuck together, but one was loose. It held Kael's handwriting, frantic and cryptic. "They speak without sound. They see without light. They don't want me to leave." Camila's gaze locked onto a single statue. Unlike the others, its hood was pulled back, revealing a smooth, featureless face. "It's watching," she whispered. Suddenly, her memory fractured. She couldn't recall how they entered the chamber or how long they'd been inside. Jonas's watch now spun in reverse. Jonas returned to the altar. The spiral map pulsed inside his bag, glowing stronger. He placed it on the surface, and the altar cracked open. Beneath the slab, a hidden compartment rose. Inside, a stone ring, engraved with Kael's name and still warm to the touch. Jonas recoiled. The stone whispered his name. "Why would his name be here?" Camila asked, backing away. But Jonas had no answer. He lifted the ring and the chamber trembled. The statues shifted, subtly but undeniably. They were now angled toward Jonas. Each arm, once extended to the altar, now pointed at him, like a vote had been cast. Then came the echo. A voice, faint but clear, reverberated through the chamber. "Jonas," it said, and this time it was unmistakable. The voice of Sebastian Kael. But it wasn't coming from the walls. It came from inside the altar, deep beneath the stone. The chamber's walls flickered with impossible life. Dozens, no hundreds, of eyes blinked open across the stone, each varying in size and shape. They weren't watching aimlessly. They were tracking. Camila screamed as one blink matched her own rhythm. "They're learning us," Jonas muttered. "This place is alive." The statues pivoted silently. No hinges, no motors, just intent. They now formed a circle around Jonas and Camila, closing the radius with each breath. Camila raised the spiral map in defense, but the map was dissolving, the ink running upward like water reversed. The map no longer led them out. With nowhere else to go, Jonas turned to the strange staircase that twisted upward. As he stepped on the first riser, gravity faltered. His feet felt pulled rather than planted. Camila followed, trembling. The ascent wasn't physical. It felt like rising through memories. Both began to recall dreams they'd never had. Along the stairwell walls, carvings depicted humans walking into themselves. One figure had its own arms entering its mouth. Another bled stars. The higher they climbed, the quieter everything became. Then the silence inverted, so profound it created pressure in their ears. Camila bled from one nostril. Suddenly they reached a circular chamber suspended in nothingness. No floor, no ceiling, just a platform, and in its center Sebastian Kael. He knelt, fetal, breathing slowly, bathed in blue light. His hair was longer, his nails clawed. His eyes were wide open but completely white. "He's not asleep," Camila whispered. "He's waiting." Jonas stepped forward, but the platform quivered. Kael's body reacted as if sensing his presence. Then, finally, movement. Kael's head turned, slow and mechanical. His mouth opened, not to speak, but to exhale. A gust of freezing air spiraled into the room. It carried a scent of ozone and ash. "I saw what comes after," Kael finally said. His voice was layered, one human, one not. "You weren't supposed to find me." His fingers twitched violently. But it's too late now. You've entered the hinge. Jonas demanded answers, but Kael shook his head. They need someone new. Camila stepped back, but the platform lurched downward. The chamber began folding in on itself like collapsing paper. "What do you mean, they?" Jonas yelled. Kael looked straight at him, smile faint, and whispered, "You came too late." The platform collapsed beneath their feet, yet they didn't fall. Instead, space folded around them like a lens-warping light. They landed in a corridor where the walls pulsed with faint electrical currents. The spiral ring Jonas carried vibrated violently. "It's guiding us," he said. Camila wasn't so sure. "Or it's warning." Suddenly, Kael's voice filled the corridor, not from a speaker but from inside their skulls. "This place is a recording," he said, "not of history, of possibility." Jonas clutched his head in pain. Camila collapsed to her knees, her fingers tracing symbols in the dust she didn't consciously recognize. Kael materialized again, but not physically. His silhouette shimmered in the wall, like a memory caught in stone. "The staircase is not a passage. It's a lens," he said. "Through it, the mountain remembers a version of Earth where we were never born." Jonas froze. The wall behind Kael showed a sky with two suns. Camilla's voice cracked. "Why can't we leave?" Kael's smile flickered. "Because you've been remembered. That's the price." A sound like reversed thunder shook the corridor. In the distance, footsteps echoed, one heavy, one dragging. Kael turned slowly toward the sound. "They're coming," he said. "They know you now." Suddenly, the spiral ring in Jonas's hand split open like a puzzle box, revealing a smaller, crystalline core. It hovered mid-air, spinning faster with each heartbeat. "Take it," Kael said, voice urgent. "It contains your coordinates." "Coordinates to what?" Jonas demanded. "To your place in the memory," Kael answered. Jonas grabbed the crystal. Instantly, he was overwhelmed by a vision, not a dream, but a memory not his own. In it, he saw himself standing in a stone room much like this one, but empty. No Camila, no Kael, just silence, and a version of himself turning slowly to dust. He snapped back. Camila was shouting now. The corridor was shrinking. The walls moved inward like lungs exhaling. They ran. Behind them, the whispering statues returned, gliding along the stone with movements too fluid for solid form. One reached out and grazed Jonas's shoulder. His vision went white. They found an opening, circular, organic, lined with rows of etched teeth. "That's not a door," Camila said. "It's a mouth." But they had no choice. As they dove through, the world behind them swallowed itself into silence. They emerged gasping on a mountainside at dawn, except Machu Picchu no longer looked the same. The familiar stonework was overgrown, not by jungle but by vines that shimmered like glass. The staircase was gone. In its place stood a perfect circle scorched into the earth, its edge still warm. Jonas tried to radio for help, but their equipment had melted slightly, warped as if exposed to intense radiation. Camilla's phone, once full of expedition photos, now displayed only one image. A spiral with her face blurred into static. They were back, but something had returned with them. The Peruvian government arrived within hours, too quickly. Agents in unmarked uniforms confiscated their belongings, escorted them to a mobile lab, and refused to acknowledge the existence of any staircase. A man with mismatched eyes whispered to Jonas, "Forget the geometry or it'll follow you home." Camila began forgetting almost immediately. Small things at first, the day they arrived, what Kael looked like, how many steps the staircase had. Jonas kept notes obsessively, but even the ink seemed to fade faster than normal, his handwriting smudged without contact. The spiral crystal had vanished from his pocket. He returned to the site a week later. The scorch mark was gone. The tourists were back. Everything looked mundane. But he noticed something strange. None of the photos posted by travelers showed the eastern slope. It was always out of frame, always blurred. The mountain refused to be remembered. One afternoon, a child touring the site kicked a loose stone. Beneath it was a step, curved, polished, and marked with the spiral. She touched it. The ground pulsed faintly, then went still. Her mother scolded her. They moved on. But the step remained, humming beneath the earth like a sleeping heart. That night, Jonas received a letter with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded precisely 8 times. It held just 3 words. Still going down. He burned the paper. The flame turned violet and left no ash. That night, he dreamed of stairs that never touched the ground. Elsewhere, in a secure lab, a security camera blinked back to life. For 22 seconds, it recorded something unexplainable, the spiral crystal spinning mid-air, surrounded by faint whispers in reversed Quechua. 31 days later, another report emerged, this time from a drone tourist. While flying above Machu Picchu at sunrise, the drone captured a staircase that wasn't in any previous flight path. It appeared for exactly 11 seconds before vanishing mid-recording. The only trace, a single frame showing a door mid-air leading nowhere. Jonas watched the footage in silence, his eyes sunken from weeks of insomnia. The patterns matched. So did the frequency, a faint hum embedded in the audio, identical to the altar's pulse. He started mapping other global landmarks. And that's when he saw it, identical spirals, subtly embedded across sites around the world. He logged into a secure server and uploaded his findings to a private archive. Seconds later, the server crashed. His backup drives spun uncontrollably, then ejected themselves. Camila had vanished a week prior. No note, no trace. Her apartment was untouched, except for one object left on the kitchen counter, the spiral ring. On forums, conspiracy theorists now spoke of the staircase to nowhere as if it were myth. But photos kept surfacing, always distorted, always fleeting. One user claimed he found a step just outside Petra. Another claimed they heard whispers beneath the Sphinx. Jonas had no doubt it was spreading. In an abandoned lab near Cusco, something stirred. The spiral crystal, once lost, hovered quietly above a dusty floor. It rotated counterclockwise, pulsing like a metronome. The camera feed, though unmonitored, recorded everything. It caught the moment a statue, the same faceless guardian, stepped forward and whispered in Quechua, "Next gate opens." Jonas boarded a flight to Asia. His next stop, the Great Wall of China. Rumors of a vanishing staircase at Watchtower 345 had begun to surface. Witnesses described impossible geometry, soundless chants, and steps that swallowed light. Jonas had seen this before, but this time he carried no map, just instinct. He stood alone atop the ancient wall as fog rolled in thick and fast. For a moment, nothing moved. Then, beneath the haze, he felt it, a vibration underfoot, soft but rhythmic. He knelt and brushed away the dust. There it was, a curve, a mark, the first sign, a step. As he reached out to touch it, the stone warmed beneath his fingers. A voice, deep and distant, whispered through the mist. Not down this time, but across. Jonas closed his eyes. He didn't know where the next gate led, only that it was already open.